What is up, RTC family? Mark here. So as many of you guys already know, this week's episode is all about politics, how to vote, how to think through the issues, and things like that. And literally halfway through the episode, Fuller and I realized that this episode was going to drop after the polling booths were closed. Fuller and I talked about it, and we both agreed that it was better to drop this episode early than too late in the conversation. So normally we drop our episodes on Thursday, but this week and this week only, this is not a bonus episode, but we're dropping it Monday, November 2nd, the day before the election. We hope you guys enjoy the conversation. And hey, if you got more questions, feel free to ask us as well. But either way, we hope you guys enjoy this edition of Real Talk Christian Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. This is Mark
and Chris Fuller.
And on today's episode of RTC, we're talking about politics. Can Christians get political? Should we have opinions on political matters? And most importantly, should American Christians go and vote? Fuller, you ready?
Let's go. Tambourine. Oh, sorry.
That's all you've been saying the whole time. When we're trying to get ready to do my intro,
Sorry.
And you're like, tambourine.
What's up, Mark? How's it going, buddy? It's good to see you. Now you're all hooked on the tambourine.
I'm messed up. You know, this is going to be a weird episode because we were so busy to get to this next episode, we didn't brew anything.
What's brewing? Oh, wait. Can't use that.
That's dudes and dads.
Dudes and dads.
That goes, what's brewing?
What's brewing?
But so we have no coffee today.
We have pure aqua.
And I forgot to refill anything. So I have two things in front of me from last episode because we record two a night.
Are you thirsty?
I got nothing. I got absolute nothing.
Sorry.
Oh, Janelle just texted us back.
On a video.
Okay, so
she's watched it.
I'm so excited to tell the people this. I introduced Fuller to Dude Dad.
Yeah, I've never seen
Dude Dad. So if you've seen Dude Dad, you already know what's coming.
Everybody's like, what? Fuller?
Dad?
No, they're saying what? Fuller's never seen Dude Dad? What is he, living under a rock? Yes, I'm living under a rock.
It's called He Has a Job.
It's called when I'm at work, I'm working, and when I'm not working, I'm playing with my kids, and when I'm not playing with my kids, my nose is in a book. So,
because you're a nerd.
Because I'm under a rock.
But Dude Dad. So the whole premise of Dude Dad is the fact of, I mean, let's be honest. In American society and culture, dads are looked at as the lazy, drunk,
good for nothing,
passive, doesn't do anything, lay on the couch.
Womanizer.
These terrible people that you don't want that to be their role model, like the Homer Simpsons, And he's like, no, we want to fix that. So this is the guy that builds the elaborate machines for his kids. He's the one who took the little drive around Jeep. He's like, this isn't powerful enough. So he converted it to put his Milwaukee battery into it.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Yep, that's Dude Dad.
Oh.
So he actually that's his full-time job now. That's what he does is make the videos, and he actually got a show for the Magnolia Network. Chip and Joe.
Maybe we should stop doing podcasts and start doing stuff like that.
I would, get a Dude Dad sponsorship. That'd be legit. That'd be awesome.
Between both of our garages and the tools we have,
we could build a lot of things.
We could do a lot of stuff.
I mean, my mom may have potentially just destroyed my new nail gun, not my pin nail, my legit nail gun, but I'll find out when I get it back.
You know what? That's all right because I've got 3.
And I think I got a warranty. Oh, actually, I didn't pay for the extra one. I probably should have from Lowe's.
It depends on how long ago you got it. You got at least
2 weeks.
Oh,
3 weeks.
You got at least a 30-day.
Hey, my mom broke this. Can I have a new one? But
gimme,
we'll see. But Dude Dad, his wife, they just got pregnant, right. And so he made a video. He always makes these funny spoof videos of he'll make fun of her wives during home improvement projects, and she'll make one where it's husbands during home improvement projects.
Right.
Well, he made a funny video about wife in their first trimester.
Yeah.
Because Janelle's in her first trimester.
What? No, I did not. No.
No, baby number 4 for the Fullers.
It would take a miracle from God.
or some adoption or some fostering. If you want to know some people, I know the hookups. I can hook you up with how to foster some kids.
Yes, you do have the hookups.
Yeah, and we can go back and let's do it. Beth Schneider, and there you go.
And so, Nicole Hobbold.
Nicole Hobbold is another one. The Brolins.
The Brolins
in church.
Yeah.
Sowers is another one in church.
Yeah, there's a lot of hookups.
Alicia Taylor is an attorney for it.
No offense. I was trying to give Laura 2 of my kids this last Sunday at church.
It was that bad?
I was like, hey, you want to just take them home? You want to go home with Miss Laura?
Yeah, just go with Miss Laura.
They're like, yay.
And Miss Laura's like, no.
Actually, no, she was like, okay. And I'm like, she is such a good lady.
That's pastor's wife.
Pastor's wife.
The first lady. I hate it when churches do that.
The first lady of Southside
is Laura Smith. But anywho, so
I'm going to call her that.
So
this
people,
Sunday.
if you haven't heard of Dude Dad, go check it out because he made a video of his wife in the first trimester, and then they filmed a reaction video of her watching him do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna halfway through she paused and goes, "Are you wearing my leggings?" And he's like, "I don't have any of my own." I mean, it's a good time.
If I wore Janelle's leggings, they would be unwearable after that. It'd be like a kite.
Be a muffin top.
Yeah, pretty much. But so we can't talk about coffee today. Nope. What about reviews?
We don't have any reviews. We got nothing. We got nothing again this week.
So good night. It was great talking to you.
Peace.
So anyways.
So I guess let's just we're getting faster. Let's just dive in. But before we do that, though, get your RTC swag. Go to the website, realtalkerspodcast.com. Click the store button. Go buy yourself a sweatshirt or a hoodie or short sleeve or a long sleeve or tote bag or mask.
COVID is making a comeback. You might want to pick up 2 or 3 masks.
You can get them in black, gray, blue, or green.
And you know what?
What?
We don't make a profit off of it. $0.
Well, we'll make a little bit off the hoodies, but that's just because
the hoodies. I'm talking about the masks.
Oh, masks. No, we don't make a dime.
The masks.
Well, maybe we make like 50 cents. I don't know.
Not even that.
No, I don't know, man.
I did the math on it. It's like
bad.
It's like less than 30 cents.
It's bad. But either way, dude. So I am both excited and terrified to talk about this topic. Christians and the P word.
We've never really talked too much about our political views. Ever.
Which I'm okay with that.
We've known each other for 3.5 years almost.
Oh, it's been longer than that.
No,
has it really only been 3.5?
Piper was already alive. She was just 3 or 4 months old when we started coming. So she's going to be 4 in January.
I mean, you guys jumped right into our small group right away and started coming over and just hanging out really quick.
Yeah, I think it's only been like 3.5 years that we've known each other. I mean, we've known people that knew both of us.
We got some weird connections, man.
Some random connections. But hey, whatever.
But it is what it is.
Tis what it is.
But honestly, it's one of those things where it's like I don't like talking. Like I mean, I have conversations all the time about how to think with politics and Christians and all these different things because I'm with teenagers you have to have these conversations. We had a political series, actually like a 5-week series about politics and stuff in SM last election cycle. Yeah. Like 4 years ago, we did it because people were like, the teens were like, what are we supposed to do? We don't know how to, like, whoa.
Well, you Gen Zers don't know anything about politics, so.
Neither do us millennials, so it's okay.
Oh.
But, this is that hard conversation because it's like, once you bring up politics, like, this is like one of the things you don't bring up at Thanksgiving. You don't bring up religion or politics.
I was about to say, it reminds me, did you ever listen to the radio, like 103.1 back in the day? Did your mom ever do it?
103. Remember, I didn't grow up around here as a kid.
Yeah, that's true.
103.1.
So you might have heard Irvin Baxter. Did you ever hear of Irvin Baxter?
Nope.
Irvin Baxter used to have a show, and it was called Politics and Religion. That's literally what it's called. It's like, the intro is like, there's 2 things I don't discuss, politics and religion. Oh, look, I don't talk about politics, and I don't talk. It's all like a whole intro, and it's hilarious because that's like the whole show is based on talking about politics and religion. And like the whole intro is like they have different people they've recorded saying, look, I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about religion. They're like, we're going to talk about politics and religion today. It's like, oh, okay.
So in RTC, we're talking about politics and religion. So don't play this episode on Thanksgiving with your family. Don't do that, or Christmas, or just don't.
But they might want to play it before Thanksgiving because the election is coming up this year on November 3rd.
Which, now that I think about this, is this coming out after the election?
We're probably going to have to do some rearranging. I think it would.
We just told the whole world that we messed up everything.
Oh, man.
Which literally messes up everything. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. You're here. You're listening. I was once told by someone was like, Mark, don't talk about things that could or can't happen because then people don't know because they're listening in real time.
That's Janelle said that too.
Yeah, my counselor has. Other people have listened to that. I'm like, whatever.
They're like, stop talking about future events and
or past events or what's going to happen. Who knows? But because
we always screw it up. We always say, every time we've mentioned it in an episode, we've always had to take it and put it in a different order. So we're not going to talk about, man, we screwed up the last episode then too because we mentioned this episode.
Let's just stick with it. We're just going to stick with it. It's going to be okay. So,
dadgummit. Anyways.
Yeah. So either way, man. So Christians and politics, it's one of those things where it seems like the closer we get to the election cycle, date of recording, let's at least tell people this, it's October 1st.
We're literally a month and 2 days away.
So this will come out way after the elections. Green Day has just woken up. Wake me up when September ends. Green Day just woke up. It's time for fall.
I don't remember the very first day of September. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Do you remember?
I just know Green Day.
Oh,
I just know Green Day. But
this is why people who don't know that type of music shouldn't be allowed to vote. Just not old enough. You don't know who Earth, Wind, and Fire is?
Oh, I know who they are. I don't listen to their stuff, but I know who they are. Yeah, it's like some Motown stuff.
In the words of Owen Wilson. Wow.
Wow. When would Earth, Wind, and Fire even out? Like, when did they come out?
The 60s or 70s.
Right. So
wow.
I'm gonna keep my old person
I'm
politic comment to myself.
I'm in this whole
okay.
I'm in this whole phase of like doing Owen Wilson's wow for everything now. Wow.
There's a lot of funny GIFs and memes about it. But anyway, so get back into it because I'm nervous about it because at the end of the day it's like every time politics come up, it seems like on the normal person front, once someone brings it up, all of a sudden it's like cancel culture happens. It's like if anyone brings up something that's different from my belief, I'm gonna unfriend you, or I'm gonna unfollow you, or Instagram, I'm gonna stop following you, or stop doing this, that, and whatever.
Right.
Or you got both sides of the equation of you got the two-party system, Republican and Democrats. Both of them are claiming Jesus because they're like Jesus. There's some funny joke that Andy Stanley says. It's like. I am red, you are blue. Hey, look, Jesus is like me too, or something stupid like that. But it's the fact that both sides of Christian politics spectrum both claim Jesus, but then at the end of the day, it divides our country, it segregates everything, and I think there's a lot of there's a lot of Christians who are very strong conservatives. There's a lot of Christians who are, they claim it are strong liberals, but I think there's so many people who are literally sitting here like us who are caught in the middle. It's like, what the heck am I supposed to do? Like, not just like who do I vote for, but big picture, because we talk about big picture things. So how on earth are we even supposed to handle politics?
It's not. Yeah, it's not just politics that there's divisions over. We look at a lot of just Calvinism and Arminianism. That's for just
inside of the church,
just all sorts
polarizing opposites
all the time. And so it's just like, yeah. Anyways, so it's not just there's so many divisive things and topics that they need to be discussed. And I'll just stop there before.
So here you go. So to jump in, I came in with literally 6 different questions that I think would be helpful for us to talk about.
All right. I don't even want to. Let's not.
And we're gonna try. I'm not even gonna try to put a timestamp on it, but I'll read all 6, and we'll talk about it. All right.
Wait. Are you gonna read one at a time, and we're gonna answer one at a time, or are you gonna read all 6, and then you're gonna read other stuff? Okay.
Maybe we don't hit all of them. Maybe we pick and choose.
I'll be quiet. I just wanted to know if I needed to answer.
Here's some basic ones. So question number 1 is: can Christians be involved in the political sphere, like actually like be politicians? Can Christians be politicians?
Okay.
I heard that question. 1 is: how should Christians handle speaking their political opinions in a decent and orderly way, specifically on social media?
Ooh.
Number 3 is: should American Christians vote? Number 4: how do we handle this line of thinking? Don't put kingdom principles onto non-kingdom people. Number 5: many believe that America was founded as a Christian nation and needs to get back to its Christian roots. Is this the correct way of thinking? And the last is: what should Christians do if we completely disagree with the government? Like, these are all some big time stuff, dude.
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to do? I think the easy question, going back to it, is just the fact of, can Christians even be involved in the political sphere? That's something I've been wrestling with over the last few weeks.
I think that they can be. I think we look at even back to the Old Testament, that Joseph was involved in a political sphere. I mean, he was second to Pharaoh. You look at the wise men, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Oh, yeah, because they were the king's
also,
advisors.
They were also advisors, so they were in the political sphere.
They were seasoned politicians. I mean, I actually joked that Joseph was the head of the Egyptian food bank.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so we look at, all the kings, King Saul, King David. These guys were
political rulers.
They were
kings.
They were presidents in our day's term.
More
today.
than that.
But, right, exactly. They were ultimate authority, whereas our president is not. But I mean, they were men after. I mean, David was called the man after God's own heart. Mm-hmm. So, can Christians be involved in the political sphere? I think so. Yeah. I think we should be. I think God places Christians in the political sphere.
Do you think he places all Christians that all Christians should be involved in the political sphere, or do you think he calls and chooses the same way that he chooses some to be apostles?
I was going to say, does he choose everybody to be an apostle?
No.
Does he? Obviously, well, it depends on your
definition of an apostle.
Yeah,
right.
But does he choose everybody to be a pastor?
No.
I mean, we're all
called to
be evangelists.
People.
Well, we're called to be evangelists and love people, but not necessarily. I mean.
There's a gift and then there's a responsibility.
Right. There's a lower pastoralship role and then
it's like the tenants. Like you're given 10 tenants, 5, 3, 1 talents, not tenants, talents. And it's like, some are only given 1 and some are given 5.
Yeah, responsibility, basically.
Right.
Different
gifts, different calls,
right,
different
exactly.
whatever.
So I mean, I don't think everybody is chosen by God to be a politician.
Okay.
I feel like we all want to be a politician in our own minds.
Oh, okay.
That's why we all have political opinions.
That's true.
I don't think God has gifted every Christian to be a politician, but I think He has gifted some.
Okay, so here's something I thought about, because I actually there's a guy that I known. I think he's an Army chaplain now, but he ran for South Bend City Council. One of my college mates, one of my soccer buddies. He's down in Florida, and he actually has a seat in the Florida House, I guess, or whatever. And then there's other Christians that I know. Tim Wesco here locally.
I was about to
Wesco here locally.
Yeah, he's one of our state reps.
Yeah, he's a state rep, and that's what he's. My buddy Jeremy, he's a state rep down in Florida, just not here in Indiana.
Yeah.
So there are Christians involved in politics. So, but
Timothy Wesco is a very gifted politician.
Oh my goodness! And he's a great speaker. He loves people. He
loves God.
He loves Jesus, and he's not a dirty politician,
right.
which I think is good that a Christian has ethics going into those spheres.
Right.
But do you think a Christian politician should push, quote unquote, Christian agenda? Can you separate being a Christian and being a politician? And
what was the purpose of separation of church and state?
It was to keep the government out of the church.
Okay,
the Baptist Church Convention wrote to Thomas Jefferson and said, "Can you guys can we put the wall?"
It was never to keep the church out of government. It was to keep the government out of church.
Right.
And so I think as a Christian, if I go to the steel mill, I can't separate who I am. Christianity is not a viewpoint; it is who you are.
Right.
So to say, I mean, you can't really separate Christian values and Christian thoughts. Mm-hmm. You can't separate them in a political stance, because that's who you are. That's where your opinions are formed. Is from
and I have opinions on that. Bible. So, but that's I guess that's kind of the question I was thinking with this side, because I don't remember who it was. They were a Christian. They were doing something. I think they were having either something about pro-life or something, and someone said, "Get your Christian, get your Christianity out of here." And the person's like, "Huh? What do you mean, get my Christianity out of here?" I think it goes back to the moral, the moral arguments of even in the laws of our land, why, thou shalt not murder. That was someone else's law before it was America.
That's
don't steal, all these different things. There's moral responsibilities. Where do we get those from?
Yeah, there's a baseline of morality, and it always comes from God, because God is the only thing that sets the morality standards.
Right.
So without God, I heard it put this way to an atheist in a debate, and the atheist goes, "You can't push your opinions on me. Okay, I choose what's moral." And the Christian goes, "All right, 5 minutes, I'm going to shoot you dead." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, in my mind, that's okay. And since I'm the ruler and I decide what's moral and what's not in my own life, I'm deciding it's moral and to shoot you and it's okay." Mm-hmm. He's like, what? He's like, exactly. That's how foolish that thought.
Right. I mean, it's the same as
there is
like,
a base. There is a baseline of morality.
It's like Hitler. Why do we call Hitler bad? Because when it hits mine, he was
good.
doing the right thing.
Right.
Stalin was doing the right thing.
Right.
Castro was doing the
in their
right
own
thing.
mind.
In their own minds,
Right.
they were doing the right thing. So where does the law of morality begin and where does it end? And so for politicians who are Christians who are not, maybe there's someone listening who is talking about going into politics. At what point do if being a Christian is who you are, you're not running on a Christian platform, you just happen to have a moralistic faith. So you would say, like, if someone wants to go into politics, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad career path to choose.
I look at our vice president currently, Mike Pence.
Okay.
And I don't think he goes around staunchly saying, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. Now, he gets asked about his Christian views, and they try to call him out for his views.
And then they trash him on it.
And then, so he answers honestly because he's a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between that and being like, well, I'm a Christian and this is what God said. There's a difference there.
Right.
I think that as a Christian politician, you don't have it's letting your light so shine before men that they see your good works. It's that whole Matthew 5:16 thing that because of who you are, it just shines through you.
Right.
Like, you don't have to proclaim yourself as a Christian. If you do, maybe you should re-examine your life, because you shouldn't have to proclaim it. But it should just naturally flow through you.
And government, and this is the thing that's interesting. So many people think that government's a bad thing, but in reality, government is a God-ordained institution.
Right.
Like, we see God setting up the first theocracy, and you see Jesus going up against Pontius Pilate, and Pontius Pilate was asking him like questions, and he said, well, you're only here because God allowed it. Like God is the one who gave you your power to rule. Jesus said that to Pontius Pilate. Right. You see Romans 13, what the purpose of the government is, and the fact that the government is supposed to keep
which we talked about.
Right, with
should we obey worldly authority?
Worldly authority, right? Like so God instituted his like this government in the fact of it has a purpose. There's a reason behind it, and I think it would be wrong. And I know some Christians who say, no, if you're a believer, you should never be involved in government affairs or even military affairs. Because that's just not right. But if we see the fact of, okay, well, what I do as, now I'm a front-end website developer,
right?
There's no Christian redeeming value in building websites for companies.
I'm a steel worker.
There's no Christian redeeming value for that, except for the fact of we get to be missionaries and lights in the communities that we're put into.
Right.
And so maybe that's just it. Like, people are gone into politics because they're ambassadors, they're missionaries into that political sphere.
What is a Christian's first and foremost duty?
To honor God in all that he does.
And to love others.
And to love others. And you can do that as a politician.
You can do that as a politician.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just the first question that popped in my head. Can a Christian even be involved in politics?
Yeah, I think voting as a politician who's taken, like, I keep thinking of Timothy Westco, because that's the best version of a Christian politician.
And he's local here in Indiana.
And he's very local, and I know his family, and so I know him, and I know his values and what he stands for personally. And so I think that to say that they can't be in politics is wrong, because he's using politics to love people through voting.
And I think that's what it is the fact of he got in it because of his love for people.
That's what it's about. He wanted to help
people.
He wanted to help the average Joe.
Right.
That's what he wanted to do. And he has a gift for politics.
Mm-hmm.
So
putting that conversation aside, I just thought, that's one that I thought about when I was a little kid, is that Christians should even be involved in politics. Right. But I guess the next one is the fact of, so the political climate that we're in right now, before the election and all the things that shaked out, God's in the future. I'm not worried about it. Why do Christians feel like they have to flaunt, talk about, push out their political views all the time?
Why?
I'm asking you the hard questions.
Well, and why? Rephrase the question. Ask it in a different way, so I can make sure I'm understanding before I answer it.
People have different political beliefs. Why do people feel like the whole world has to know what they believe when it comes to politics?
I think it's a lack of knowing who the creator is. We think we know better than everybody, and we forget that, one, we're supposed to be loving. Okay. We're supposed to show grace and mercy to others. We're supposed to love others. And getting dogmatic on politics, you have to remember it's just your opinion. Now we can have opinions based off of Scripture, like we just talked about, and that can make our mind think differently than the world's.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember what Galatians says, that we have to, when we're teaching non-believers, we have to do it in a spirit of gentleness and love. When we're teaching brothers, when we're correcting brothers, it has to be done in a spirit of gentleness and love. And so to be so dogmatic on a position that you get overly passionate because of you're dogmatic, you yourself are sinning. You're not doing what you've been called to do, what you've been commanded to do by Christ, which is to love your brother.
Right, but as an American with the ability to have freedom of speech and ability to say what you want to say, and maybe you're passionate about it, like you might be on you might be on the Republican side because of pro-life or these, and you might be on the Democratic side where it's no, we want to help people with welfare and housing assisting and all these different programs so people get back on their feet. If we believe in these innate values, shouldn't we talk about them?
So passion is a great thing.
Okay.
Passion and dogmatic, you're touching a line there. And,
what do you mean?
And here's why I say that. Passion is not a bad thing because you can still love somebody and be passionate. But if you're dogmatic and passionate at the same time, whatever point, whether it's right or wrong that you're trying to get across, if you're passionate and you're dogmatic. So if I told you, Mark, I don't care what you say, I know the truth, and the truth is that the grass is blue, you're going to be like, I'm not even going to pay attention to you because you're not even willing to have a conversation. You're unmovable, and you're overly passionate, which means you have emotion involved. And so as a logical person, you would say, there's no point in even talking to you. So I lose an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I lose an opportunity to show the love of Christ. So that's why I say when you mix the two together, it's very dangerous. I'm not saying it's 100% wrong all the time. I'm saying it's a dangerous point that you have to watch.
So do you think politics then separates, people to have conversations with those who would disagree with them? Like if I'm over here saying, you know what, if you're a Trump supporter, boom, 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 and just, completely separate myself from the Trump side or the other side where I'm all Trump and no Biden, or shoot, I'm third party candidate, I don't like any of y'all. Like, are you saying that if we have these stances that it actually hurts more than helps?
Well,
as Americans, we're able to
let me put
do
it this
that,
way. Let me put it this way. All right, we're going to take it from a general. I'm not saying everybody, but I am going to throw a blanket statement.
Okay.
If we look at those who stand on the liberal Democratic side, this is a general stance.
Okay.
We'll call it an 80% stance of those people, the hardcore left. Would you say that they are saved? The hardcore left, liberals. I would say in a general statement, 80%, or I'll say 70%. I'm going to give a general doubt that there might be 30% of Christians there. I don't think that, but we'll say that. They're not going to understand why Christians view things the way we do because they're lost. They need a savior. They don't understand God's laws. Mm-hmm. We can't hold them to God's standards. God holds them to the standards. The law is there to show them that they're out of God's standards and that they need a savior. That's about it.
But do you think there's a lot of people on the far right side that are like that too?
I'm getting to it.
Sorry, no, I'm chewing it over.
So I would say we're using the same standards. 70% of the right, the Trump supporters, evangelicals. For the most, we'll call it 70% probably evangelicals. And I know these statistics don't hold me to these statistics. These are just some random statistics I'm throwing out. 70%, let's say, in our little make believe world here, are evangelical Christians, right? What's the actions between the two? How do liberals act? How does the left act? And how does the right act right now?
In the same way, like they literally are both doing the same thing.
But we're supposed to be evangelicals. We're supposed to be the ambassadors of the future kingdom of Christ that He's going to bring to this earth. We're supposed to be the ambassadors of that. We're supposed to be the one that love people, to love our neighbor, to show them that are lost who Christ is and the grace that he's given to us.
So how does that work in the political sphere then? Where, us as Americans, and I was thinking about this too, the Apostle Paul, there was one time where he actually said, look, I'm a Roman. You didn't treat me right. Well, like he actually pulled out the Roman law and was like, you guys beat me without even a chance for me to defend myself. And they went, oh, go away quietly. He's like, heck no, you going to parade me through the street.
Right.
Like, you going to apologize. Like,
right.
He pulled out the Roman card.
Right.
So at what point should we as Christians pull out the American card? It's like, no, we have the freedom to do this. We have the ability to do this.
So we do. We do have the freedom, but there's a way to do it. There's a way to speak truth, right? We're told how to speak truth in gentleness and in love. To the unbeliever, we're supposed to do the same thing. Supposed to tell them the truth in gentleness and love. To our brother and correcting our brother, it's gentleness and love. And right now, from what I see, and I vote, and I've typically voted right wing. Typically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure people can deduce who I voted for in 2016 based off of that.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing this year.
But I can tell you there's a lack of love when you say I'm a Christian and then you say these liberal idiots, they're stupid and they just can't, you're the reason why there's the destruction of this country.
You're morons, you're blind, you're sheeples,
right.
You're whatever.
First of all, Trump's not the savior. We should never hold him up just like I think we shouldn't hold pastors up on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should hold anybody up on a pedestal, but especially not Trump. No offense to Trump. Trump's done some good stuff. I agree with some stuff that Trump has done. But don't for 1 second believe he's a Christian. Or if he is, he's got a lot of things that he needs to, the Holy Spirit needs to work on. It's not for me to judge his heart. But he says he's a Christian, but if he's calling himself a Christian, I have to judge by the fruit, and there are no fruit. There is no fruit in Trump.
Mm-mm.
He's boastful. He's proud. He's arrogant. He's hateful. He's spiteful. So tell me, according
envious,
to
or what's the greed? I would say because with all the money,
right? So according to Galatians in the fruit of the Spirit passage, Galatians, Romans.
Yeah, where's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness,
where's
gentleness,
where's the fruit of the Spirit? Because I don't see the fruit of the Spirit. I see the fruit of the wickedness that is also explained at the end of chapter 5 in Galatians. There's a lot of that in him. So if I'm judging by the fruit, I would say Trump is not a Christian. And listen, you don't have to only vote for a Christian, okay? There's been a lot of, I wouldn't say Nebuchadnezzar was a Christian. I wouldn't say King Darius was a Christian. I wouldn't say a lot of the kings that in the Old Testament
that God used
his people,
various ways.
And God used his people to help advise them. They weren't Christians. They weren't saved. They weren't chosen people of God, but God still used his people to help advise them. And he still used them for various ways. God places in power whom he wants in power. And people are like, well, yeah, but I vote. Yeah, you vote. But God's still going to place him in power. God's going to be like, well, you may have voted this way, but this is who I want in power. And so I'm a sovereign God. And who are you, you little puny ant?
And then there's the classic, I remember when, as a kid, when Obama was elected in the Christian response versus Trump when Trump was response. I was in high school, dude.
I was in college.
Right? Well, when he first got elected.
2008, I was in college.
Was that really 2008? No, I was in high school, bro. I was a junior.
I can't believe that was that long ago.
I was a junior in high school. But I remember the response of that, where it's like, oh, God, America's being judged. And then when Trump got voted, oh, America's saved.
The Obama nation.
My dad was from Texas and Louisiana, so when George W. Bush got elected,
woo,
man,
the Savior has come.
Exactly. So, why do we as Christians do that, man?
Right.
Why do we all of a sudden, and I'm saying on the other side too, because there's a lot of Christians that I know that they love Obama. And I'm not saying there's anything right and wrong. I'm just saying there's people on the other side who are like, no, Obama's the savior, or, let's just settle for Biden because we got to get Trump out of here. Why do we put so much stake in the fact of this leader's going to be our savior?
Right.
Why?
I can tell you this. Okay. So, pre-debate, I won't say where I'm at now.
Because the presidential debate just happened.
Yeah. It just happened this week.
Yeah.
Data recording.
Yesterday. 2 days ago?
2 days ago.
Okay.
So I have no idea how I'm going to vote right now. If you asked me today, I couldn't tell you who I'm going to vote for.
I don't know either.
2 days ago, before 9 p.m., I was like, even though
You're leaning one way.
I was leaning towards Trump. I was like, I'm leaning towards Trump, but I'm not 100% sure. Now I'm like, I'm really unsure after watching that. I'm like, I'm really unsure. And that's my own opinion. Okay, that's the thing that we have to realize here. People are always like, well, you got to pick the lesser of two evil. Okay, that's good. I agree we need to vote, right? I think it's in the parable of the talents.
Right.
We have been given a responsibility by being in this country.
To be stewards of what we've been given.
Right, and so we need to be a good steward and not just bury our talent. I think we need to use our talent.
Mm-hmm.
I think burying our talent is a waste of the talent. And if we can't be responsible with that talent, then why would we get more talents? Right. So I think we need to use our talent. I don't think Mark or I would say vote this way or vote that way because I can't hold knowing Trump, looking at the fruit, knowing he's not a Christian, looking at Biden, looking at the fruit, and based on fruit, I don't see Christ. Based on fruit. That's all I don't know their heart, but based on fruit, I don't see Christ. And so because of that, I can't hold them to the standards of God, that they're going to follow the standards of God. I can't say that, Trump is going to be this loving, caring guy and that he's going to do all these things. I can't say that Biden is going to make the best choices and go, anti-abortion, because those are God's standards. Mm-hmm. They're the world. They don't know any better. It's like a child. They don't know any better. It's like my 2-year-old. She doesn't know when I say don't touch the stove because it's hot. She doesn't know why I'm saying that
until she touches
it, and then she's like, "Oh, I know I shouldn't do that." And that's the thing. These politicians don't know any better. So to judge them by God's standards is foolishness. It's casting your pearls before the swine. So you gotta take God out of it a little bit. Not fully, because you can't really separate God from your life.
Right.
But you have to look at, all right, I'm an American. And this is the way I'm looking at it right now. Who is going to give me, or who is going to help protect the freedom as an American that I have, that I can continue to proclaim the gospel? Who's going to be the one that helps me the most with that? And right now, I said I'm undecided. That's because I can't clearly see either one of them really helping.
But even if that's something we should be asking for, because Christianity was, birthed under emperors.
It was.
And Nero.
And the gospel has always flourished and gone out. Actually, it's flourished more under hardship.
Right.
It has. And so the freedom aspect is just more it's just easier. It's just easier. It's comfortable. It's easy to proclaim Christ.
Which, is that a good thing?
I don't think it's a good or a bad thing.
Okay.
I don't think it's either way. I don't think being in a spot where there's free reign, because there was a time when things were good in Israel. There's been times that there's good in Israel throughout the Bible, and and there's times that are bad, and there's times in the church that have been really good. And we look at the Great Awakening. That was a really good time, and then we look at really bad times like the Crusades.
Those were really bad times.
Or
the Catholic Church.
I was going to say
the
persecution of the Catholic Church. There's been a lot of hard times.
Right.
Or how about the persecution of Rome? Or, there's been a lot of tribulation that the church has gone through. Mm-hmm. So I think good or bad doesn't really matter. Right. I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of God, because God is powerful enough to overcome any of that. This is like I said, this is just my personal opinion.
I've asked you a lot of questions tonight, bro. I've asked you a lot of questions.
I'm fine with that. I don't mind sharing my opinion. I'm not foolish enough to say I am dogmatic on my opinions in politics. I have been pretty dogmatic for most of my life, and God has really worked on me that when you are dogmatic, especially in politics, you become less loving. Because
gracious.
And gracious, right, exactly. You have to look at it as there's people that don't understand God's ways. There's people who need a savior. And me standing up saying, you guys are idiot liberals. And I was that guy. But me standing up to say that, is that furthering the kingdom or hindering the kingdom?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hindering the kingdom, in my opinion now. It hurts the kingdom. Look at evangelicals, all right? Because evangelicals have been lumped together they've lumped themselves with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the bad name we've given Christ through lumping ourselves with Trump. And likewise, Obama. There was a lot of evangelicals that lump themselves with Obama, and look at the bad name they got. And it's like every time you lump yourself with a politician rather than lumping yourself with God, you typically give Christ a bad name. So I think the lesson to learn is don't lump yourself in with a politician. Don't be so dogmatic. Stand for truth, but realize that the world is not going to hold to God's standards because they don't understand God's standards. So show them love and mercy, a.k.a. grace.
Right, yep.
Undeserved grace. The
grace.
Same undeserved grace that we've received. And that's kind of where I stand in my political stance at this time.
Yeah, no, I like that. Like, getting ready for this, I was reading about Piper because someone asked him, they're like, dude, you've never talked about your political stance ever. And he goes, good, because when I die, I don't want to be known what my political stance was. I want to be known for my stance for Jesus.
Amen.
Now,
Piper.
Now, Piper did say that he's like, Matt Chandler's the same way, man, where they both are like, yeah, we've preached on abortion. We've preached on God's plan for marriage. We've also preached on the fact of racism and social justice, and we've also preached on helping the poor and going to the widow and the orphan in their distress. Like, he's like, we taught the Bible. We taught truth.
Which is our responsibility.
And that's what Christians should be known for. And I've always struggled with it because as Christians, and as American Christians, I think on the one token, I feel like we're so scared that, the whole idea of the classic, if a country falls to its knees and pray, I'll heal their land.
Oh, you mean
the Israel passage, not the American passage.
The coffee mug Christianity.
Coffee mug Christianity. I feel like I need to make sure I put these in the notes so I can reference them back.
I have coined that phrase now.
Coffee mug Christianity. I love it, man. I love it.
But that's what it is. Yeah, that was spoken to Israel
at a certain time, at a certain place, a certain thing. Now, at the same time, if we follow God in certain ways, there will be natural fruits and blessing and common graces that are bestowed upon it because that's just...
But we know, America, we know that if they hated the master, they're also going to hate us. So it's not going to be all rose bushes and
I feel like so many Christians, and I'll make this statement, I feel like so many Christians are like, we need to get America back again, bring America back to Jesus. I think it's because they're scared to go out there and actually be Jesus themselves, and they'd rather have the politicians do it.
And what does it look like? I mean, if you look at the other countries that have gone socialist or fascist and look at the desolation that's happened in those countries, it is scary, and it's hard times. And the natural way of the flesh is to take the easy route.
Right.
It is not always, it's not within our nature to be like, yeah, I want to be poor and broke and starving and go through all this pain and
then
agony.
Have my kids go through
it. Yeah, exactly. That's not natural. It's not natural to be like, oh, I want to do that. And then you have missionaries who are like, look, I love the Lord and I want to do this for Jesus. Mm-hmm. See the difference here?
Right.
They're no longer they're concerned about their own selves, but concerned about God.
So almost like people are making an idol of the American Christian way rather than following Jesus and what Jesus says.
Now, again, we have a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
We have been placed in this country at this time, and we have a responsibility. We have a talent. Use the talent. We have to vote, right? That's our responsibility. That's our God-given responsibility. Hey, I'm giving you the gift of voting. Be a good steward. That's what we've been given. That's the biblical basis of voting right there, in my opinion. So
I agree with that one.
Yeah,
I agree with that one. So I'm going to end it with a quote and a Bible verse for my thought.
End it. I thought you had more questions. We only answered like 2, I thought.
Well, no, we answered them just in natural conversation. We talked about them. I mean, I do think, there's still, I know a lot of Christian influencers on Instagram who they have Christian in their bio, but then they also have conservative, and they'll talk on their stories all the time about it. And, some certain people, okay, are they given certain platforms for that? I mean, that's where I actually, I don't know how to fully handle that. It's more of like, if people want to talk about, hey, here's what God says, do with it what you will, versus, did you see what they said last night? Did you see those idiots? What ding-dongs.
I can't believe that.
Right. And so I feel like we ostracize ourselves from not only other Christians, but other people who need to hear the gospel, when in reality, I think Tony Evans said the quote where it's like, Jesus didn't come to pick a side. He chose to abolish it all. Like, he came to come in and establish a new order, which is a spiritual kingdom. It'll become an earthly kingdom one day. But as Christians, we're not called to pick and choose a side. what are we called to do? We're called to love.
We're called to choose God's side and follow that way.
And love your enemy.
Well, that's loving your neighbor. That's
right.
Christ's commandment. That's Christ's law. Read Galatians 5. Anybody who's dogmatic and political, read Galatians 5.
And I'm going to read 1 Peter too.
And then, that's another good one. But come back and talk to us. When you read Galatians 5 and 1 Peter, come back and talk to us and see if you feel the same way. Study those passages.
So this is kind of interesting as sojourners, because in Jeremiah 29, I'll go back to this one, it was talking about the people are like, what are we supposed to do? And then it says, this is what the Lord Almighty God of Israel says to all those carried into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses, settle down, plant gardens, eat what they produce. Marry, have sons and daughters, find wives for your sons, and give your daughters in marriage so they may too have sons and daughters. Increase your number there, do not decrease. Also, I love this one, seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you will too. And, so many times we want our politicians, we want to vote people from the top down, but as Christians, we're called to lead from the bottom up. We're called to not put someone into power to make Christian principles everywhere. No, you're called to walk across the street and go love your neighbor.
Right.
That's what we're called to do as Christians. But what's interesting is 1 Peter, he flips it and then says, beloved, I urge you as sojourners and exiles. That's why I connected the two, because it was, back in Jeremiah is, I carried you into exile. And Peter's like, beloved, I urge you as we already are sojourners and exiles, abstain from the passions of the flesh, which wage war against your souls. Keep your conduct among the Gentiles, which non-believers in that context,
right.
Keep it honorable, so that when they speak against you as evildoers, they may see your good deeds and glorify God in the day of visitation. Be subject for the Lord's sake to every human institution. This is talking about specifically government.
Right.
Whether it be the emperor as supreme or to the governors are sent by him to punish those who do evil and praise those who do good. For this is the will of God. This is God's will, that by doing good you should put to silence the ignorance of foolish people. Live as people who are free. This is the big one. Not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God. Honor everyone. Love the brotherhood. Fear God. Honor the emperor. So as Christians, as American Christians, we have freedom of speech. We have freedom to get on Instagram. We have freedom on Facebook to do these things. But what's the Christian way? No. Use your freedom to serve others. Live as people who are free, not to cover up evil, but living as servants of God. What are we called to do? Love God and love others.
Right.
And Andy Stanley, he wrapped it up so beautifully, man. This is like not a direct quote because I had to shorten it a little bit. He said, the kingdom of God will always come at some detail and level conflict with the kingdom of man, or a political person or political platform. There will always be tension. This is why it's foolish for the church to ever be divided over a candidate or party, because at the end of the day, no political party will line up complete with the kingdom values of Jesus, even though each party will have a little bit of it. We're supposed to be kingdom people first, political people second.
So I want to add to that.
Yeah. What you got?
John 18.
Okay.
We're going to start in verse 34. It says, Jesus answered, are you saying this on your own initiative, or did others tell you about me? So this is the questioning by Pilate to Jesus. Right?
What verse are you in?
Verse 34 I just read. So I'm going to go to verse 35, Pilate's response. So Pilate answered, I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests delivered you to me. What have you done? Jesus answered, and this is the part that I want to really italicize, highlight.
Okay.
My kingdom is not of this world, okay? So we hear that all the time. Oh, Christ's kingdom. When Christ's kingdom is established here on earth, which will happen at the second coming of Christ, when it happens, Christ will reign and rule from his throne, the earth. Not just believers down here. Christ is going to
rule. Will be on his throne.
He's going to be on his throne here. Right now he's at the right hand of the Father. Just want to clarify that. So he said, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants... Now, he's talking about disciples at the time, but it translates over to us.
Yeah.
My servants would be fighting so that I would not be handed over to the Jews, but as it is, my kingdom is not of this realm. Okay? So we see through eschatology that Christ is coming back. Okay? Second coming. I think most views will agree with that. And because of that, we know he's going to come back and rule and reign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And until that time, his kingdom is not established. And what does establishment mean? It means it's here, it's present,
It's happening,
and he is here physically helping rule. Right now, we're ambassadors. He's got his ambassadors out there preparing his kingdom, the forerunners, saying, hey, the Lord's coming. Prepare the way. We're the little John the Baptist. That's what we are.
Yep.
We're the little John the Baptist. That was a type and shadow of the second coming. So we're calling out, prepare the way. The one is coming. And we've been doing that forerunning for 2,000 years now.
Right.
And we'll continue to do it until God decides to come back, or have Christ come back and reign and rule. Because nobody knows the hour of the day except for God.
Right.
That's what Jesus said. So to be dogmatic and to fight politically with each other is foolish. It's foolishness. Why? Why would we do that? There's no reason for it. His kingdom is not yet established on earth. He has his ambassadors preparing things by saying, hey, brother, you need to get saved, and let me show you why. Hey, I'm going to speak to you. I love you, and I don't want to see you go to hell. I don't want to see eternal damnation and separation from the Father. Let me show you. Let me show you the gift that Christ has given you.
So let me ask you this then, to kind of land the plane. If there's someone out there listening, I'll give my piece too. If someone's out there listening, they're like, Mark, I love politics. I love the political scene. I listen to Ben Shapiro every single day, or I listen to CNN every day or whatever. Like, I'm very into this, but I also love Jesus. What would your encouragement to that person be, where they're like, I know I'm supposed to be a Christian. I know I'm supposed to be an ambassador, but I have this love for politics and the conversation, and I care about what goes on in my country. What would your piece of advice be?
Be a good steward, but most importantly, be loving and gentle. Show kindness. You can tell your opinion. You can even speak truth in gentleness and love. And it doesn't have to be a I'm right, you're wrong type of thing. It doesn't have to be. We're supposed to be teachers to the unsaved and teaching in gentleness and love. And when we're correcting a brother, we're supposed to correct them in gentleness and love so that we may not fall into the same temptation, Galatians 6:1. That's what we're called. We're called to love others, And when we're teaching, to teach in love and gentleness. And when we're correcting, to correct in love and gentleness. It's a theme throughout all of the New Testament. Mm-hmm. That's what we're called to do. So go ahead. Be passionate. Be passionate about politics. Don't be dogmatic. Don't mix the two, because it gets dangerous, and you don't know how far you go, and you're taking it until you've already taken it too far.
Right, and you've crossed that bridge.
But be passionate. I encourage passion. We get passion. We were passionate on our
2 episodes ago.
Yeah, topic roulette. We were passionate, but it doesn't mean that we have to be spiteful, hateful, rude. Even though we were a little rude, I'm sorry, buddy.
But I love this guy.
But it was passion out of both sides of us, and it happens. It happened to us, as everybody listened to a couple episodes ago. Hopefully they listened.
Hopefully,
passion is not a bad thing. It can be a bad thing if it's done if it's done not in love. Mm-hmm. Mark and I love each other, so we get passionate, and we still love each other at the end of the day. So
I had no problem.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just it was a little awkward to think about now. It's like, oh man, I can't believe
we're fired up.
We got really, really passionate, but
we came together though. But at the same time, here's the difference: is like I wasn't some stranger on the internet and you were blasting,
right? Oh yeah,
or it wasn't some random text thread, or it wasn't some random social media comment section. We were two friends who were trying to figure it out.
Right.
Like, where did we go? And we both were passionate, but we came to a place of, okay, this is where we agree. Maybe this is not, but that's okay. We're still brothers in this.
And still love each other. Yeah, and that's how it should be. But as far as blasting people on the internet, you don't have a relationship with them. And are you really trying to teach them, or are you just trying to be right?
Woo!
That's the question I have.
Trying to teach them, trying to be right. Proverbs 15:1. This is from the NLT, New Living Translation. It says, "A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare."
Oh, and a perfect love covereth a multitude of sins. Sorry. Awana. Anyways.
Any other thoughts maybe before we end? I mean, this was a very high level conversation. Like, we didn't get into a lot of the weeds.
It was funny because it's like a very stressful topic for a lot of conversationalists, But you and I were like, I think this is the calmest podcast I've ever.
It probably
done.
has. Now it was awkward getting into it, but I felt awkward because I don't like talking about this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't mind talking about politics because I believe that God has taught me that it's not about politics; it's about love. And so once you have that understanding, you don't get as passionate or dogmatic about it. It's just the way I feel about it. So
Time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
I feel like we laugh every single time.
I like how you went away and the video caught it. It's like you're like, I'm not touching it.
Last time I stopped it short on accident.
Yeah. So
My dude.
you haven't seen this one, brother.
No, is this a political fun fact?
It's not. Well, it could be. We know the big Android, Mac, Apple debacle debate.
That's true. That's true.
That's been going on for a while.
I feel like I'm like I got my Android. I went Pixel 2 for a couple years. I'm back to Apple, but now I feel like that guy at Panera when I'm working. I have my MacBook Pro, then my iPad next to me with my AirPods in with my phone next to me. That was not meant to be a flex, but I really flexed that one on accident. My bad.
Yeah, you did.
But I'm just saying, like, I turned back into an all Apple guy. So
Janelle flex means he showed off. That's what that means. She was going to ask me when I got.
Oh,
when she heard
sorry.
this.
Yeah.
I just want to explain that to you, Janelle.
It's low key flex when someone's like, "Oh, look,"
look at all the things that I have, or the things
or
I've
it's kind of
done,
like, oh, what was one that I recently saw? It was about a Tesla, and someone was like, "It's like I'm playing Mario Kart again when I was a kid, Rainbow Road." I'm like, "That's freaking Tesla autopilot. Go away." Flexing on me like that.
All right, so
Jeez.
I was an Android guy for years and years until I met Janelle, and she got me hooked on Mac, and now I've got my Kindle.
Right.
So
You got your Kindle Fire, but that was for budgetary reasons too.
that's just because I'm cheap.
Yep. But you got an iPhone.
I got an iPhone.
You're blue. You text blue.
And I got a MacBook Pro.
Yep.
And that's
about it. But no.
I'm gonna flex too.
So
here.
this is about Mac and Android.
So kind of. It's about Mac and Windows, but it's Mac and Android. No, nobody talks about Windows. But anyways, so fun fact of the day.
Okay.
The startup sound for Windows 95 was made on an Apple Macintosh computer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was created by composer Brian Eno specifically on a Mac, as he'd never used a PC because he doesn't like them. Ironic, huh?
So the dude who created the sound that everyone
for
heard
Windows 9,
for
that-
Windows 95,
or whatever it was.
whatever that little sound effect was, he didn't like to use a PC.
He didn't know-
He created a jingle on a Mac
On
for
a Mac.
the PC.
Yeah.
Was
How
it?
ironic.
Did you know in Wall-E that Wall-E, his startup sound was a PC, but then the other one, Eve, was a Mac?
Yes, I
That
did
little,
know.
like,
I did notice that.
ding.
I
think
did
that's
notice
really
that.
funny.
That was really
And
good.
speaking of Apple, the one thing I'm mad about them is when you open your computer, I mean, it looks sleek, but the Apple doesn't glow on the backside anymore. It doesn't
doesn't?
glow. It doesn't. The backside. I'll show you. The backside doesn't glow anymore. It's just
Well,
like
what?
It's just like a silver little thingamajig.
Apple, you cheaped out on us?
You pay $2,000 for a machine, it doesn't light up the Apple. Like
That's messed up.
Want to flex
Take it
on
back.
people?
Take it back.
I love it, man. But hey, so speaking of computers and internet and all things interweb, people can check us out at the website, realtalkchristianpodcast.com. That will direct you to Google, Spotify, Apple, but you can all for podcast related listening. You can also listen on Alexa now. You can also listen on Pandora, hopefully here really, really soon.
Right.
But you can also find some of our fun episodes. You can link to the merch where you can buy some fall line. Got to get that represent. Where is it? Right there. That RTC, nice and soft.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's cozy, man. It's real cozy. But people can also call us or text us a direct line to us, have a conversation with us if they want.
Yep.
Or leave us a voicemail at 574-400-5352.
Boom. There you go, buddy.
Got it. I got it, buddy.
You're on it now.
Dude, I feel like I did that whole closing. Anything else you want to say to the people before we let them go, Fuller?
Make sure to buy swag. Baby, it's cold outside. Christmas is coming soon.
Ooh, Christmas gifts? This would be some
Winter
good
is
Christmas-
coming. Oh.
So buy your SM merch. So get the merch, guys. But hey, we are so thankful you guys listen week in, week out. We love you guys. But until next time,
Take it easy.